Learning a new skill can be exciting. It's easy to get caught up in the initial enthusiasm and try to absorb as much information as possible. However, this is a common mistake known as theory overload. This happens when you spend too much time consuming information without putting it into practice. Imagine trying to learn to ride a bicycle by reading every book and watching every video on the subject. You might become familiar with the mechanics and theory, but you wouldn't be able to actually ride. The same principle applies to any skill, from playing a musical instrument to coding a website. Theory overload is detrimental because it creates the illusion of progress while hindering practical application. You might feel like you're learning, but without real-world experience, the knowledge remains abstract and difficult to apply. Instead of falling into the trap of theory overload, focus on balancing information consumption with practical application. Learn a little, then practice a lot. This approach ensures that you're actively engaging with the material and developing the necessary muscle memory and intuition. Our brains have a limited capacity for processing information, much like a computer with finite RAM. When we learn something new, we're essentially using up these cognitive resources. Trying to learn too much at once overloads our system, making it difficult to retain and apply new information. Think of your brain as a muscle. Just like lifting weights, learning requires effort and can lead to fatigue. If you try to lift too much weight too soon, you risk injury and burnout. Similarly, overloading your brain with excessive theory can hinder your learning progress. This is where the importance of balancing theory and practice becomes evident. By alternating between learning new concepts and immediately putting them into practice, you give your brain a chance to process and consolidate information. This spaced repetition strengthens neural connections and improves retention. Moreover, practical application reveals gaps in your understanding. When you encounter challenges in a real-world setting, you're more likely to remember and internalize the solution. This active learning process is far more effective than passively absorbing information. Effective learning is not a linear process, but rather a cyclical one. It involves a constant interplay between experience, observation, and experimentation. This process, known as experiential cycling, is crucial for developing mastery in any skill. The cycle begins with experience, actively engaging with the skill you're trying to learn. This could involve anything from attempting a new chord on the guitar to writing your first lines of code. The key is to jump in and get your hands dirty. Next comes observation. Once you've had some experience, take the time to reflect on what happened, what went well, what could be improved. This step requires honest self-assessment and a willingness to identify areas for growth. Finally, experiment based on your observations. Make adjustments to your approach and try again. This could involve trying a different technique, seeking feedback from others, or simply practicing with more focus and intention. The beauty of experiential cycling is that it creates a positive feedback loop. Each iteration brings you closer to mastery. By embracing this iterative process, you'll accelerate your learning and develop a deeper understanding of the skill you're pursuing. While it's important to strike a balance between theory and practice, the optimal ratio can vary depending on the individual and the skill being learned. The key is to find a pace that allows for consistent progress without leading to burnout. A general guideline is to aim for 1 hour of practice for every 15 minutes of theory. This ensures that you're spending sufficient time actively engaging with the skill while avoiding information overload. However, it's essential to listen to your body and mind and adjust this ratio as needed. Some days you might feel more mentally energized and able to absorb more theory. Other days you might benefit from extended practice sessions. The key is to be flexible and adapt your learning schedule to your current state. Remember that learning should be enjoyable. If you find yourself feeling overwhelmed or frustrated, take a break and come back to it later. By finding a sustainable rhythm that works for you, you'll set yourself up for long-term success.